I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script, every scene. This from last year, but they clean. Say to say, I'ma take something else, but it's a winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang, the regime. I'm from Piney Green.
What's good, I'm Shellitronnn, but you can call me Coach, and I'm back at it again with a brand new video, and I'm going to keep it a bold bread biscuit. The point I'm going to make in this video is something I talked about a little bit. I kind of touched on it months ago, but I didn't really think of it as a very serious solution to what we're looking at for Cam, and then I actually forgot about this whole thing until just today. I said I could maybe see him actually retiring like Andrew Luck did by or before week 7 of this year. Why don't we as an organization consider just sitting Cam the rest of this year, kind of like the Colts did for Andrew Luck in 2017. Say, look, Cam Newton is our franchise quarterback. He has this year and next year still on his contract. If we want to preserve him and see exactly what we can still get out of him, we can afford to say this year may not be his year. This year may not be our year. See what we can do with a full year of rest. And then see what we can do in 2020 on the last year of his contract. We'll still have Luke. We'll still have C-Mac. There's a few other guys who are going to be free agents we have to re-up this offseason. But for the most part, the core group will still be in Carolina. We're not losing a ton of guys at a ton of very vital positions. And we're pretty young at some pretty big positions where there's a lot of skill there. So we're not going to be losing a ton of talent everywhere this offseason. If the team is serious about Cam Newton's health, we would maybe start to consider very early on, and I mean this week or next week, have some very serious discussions from the very top about Cam possibly just calling it off, calling this 2019 season off for Cam, get Will Greer in there, or get Kyle Allen in there, because it's becoming more and more obvious that Cam is either not right with his body, with his shoulder specifically, or he's not right in his mind. I don't mean he's crazy. I'm not talking about his outfits or whatever. I dig the drip. I ain't even mad at the drip. But when you see this man on the field, this man looks so lethargic. He does not like playing right now. You can just tell from his body language. Compare how he looks right now to how he looked early on last year. It's not about winning and losing. I think it's more about the quality of his play. Look at him in these pressers. Even when he lost last year, even when we were losing 2 years ago, he would be down, but he wouldn't be like this. The dude was fidgeting at the podium. Dude was looking down. Dude was like, he just looked so out of it. Like, he did not really care about football anymore. Not like his mind's not in football, but it feels like he just doesn't love it anymore because he keeps getting hurt and he keeps being put in a situation where he can't really get a chance to heal. In the game against the Bucks, we had this man throw 51 passes. And then Coach Rivera gets up on the podium the next day and says, well, maybe the 10 days he had off are the reason why he's not being very accurate. What? Okay, well, if you thought the 10 days off was an issue and not playing this man more than what, like 12, 14 snaps in the preseason was going to be an issue, then why have him pass the ball 51 times in a game? The second game of the season, his second game in 4 days. You're telling me that you just now realize, well, maybe the 10 days he got off with his foot injury might have caused some issues. 51 passes, 50 passes last night, 38 passes on Sunday, 88 passes in 4 days. That's not good. A guy who's coming off of 2 surgeries on his shoulder, his throwing shoulder, in the last 3 years. A guy who's played almost no time in the preseason. A guy who, after that 3rd game of the preseason, did not get into practice. And let's not forget, Coach Rivera was saying there was no problems. Coach Rivera, the Panthers writers, all the other reporters, everyone who's a personality or a writer were talking about how there was no issues. Coach Rivera said he's 100% confident in Cam. He was very confident that Cam would be able to throw and be all right for the games. After the first game, he said it doesn't matter at all. It's rust. He's not going to be doing this later on. We'll be good. Now, he also said a couple things about how Christian McCaffrey wouldn't be getting 100% of the snaps this year. He said he'd be dialing that back a little bit, and we're going to trust our backup guys, our younger guys, as running backs. So far, we've seen Christian McCaffrey in on 100% of the offensive snaps. We don't even bring Jordan Scarlett in to block. We don't bring him in to block on passing plays. It's still Christian McCaffrey 100% of the time. It's getting to the point where I hear Coach Rivera say things in the interviews and I write them down. I literally write down and make sure I keep track of all the tweets of all the reporters who quote this man on what he's saying in the pressers. And I keep them in a folder so I can go back and reference them later when I see things that happen and they don't line up at all with what he said. I don't want to call people liars or whatever, because I know when you're the head coach, you can't tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, every single time you're on the podium. But I feel a little bit better if you told the truth some of the time, just a little bit of the time. And that's kind of my bigger point here I want to get to. I feel like this decision right here to maybe sit Cam the rest of 2019 has to come from somewhere above Coach Rivera. Because I saw last year a guy who was too prideful, maybe a little bit too scared his job was on the line, to see a quarterback who was obviously hurt, quarterback that was obviously injured, a quarterback that was obviously, he was toiling to throw the ball. Toiling, that's a strange word, but he was toiling to throw the ball more than 15 yards. Now, after that hit from TJ Watt, it didn't happen immediately. He still threw some pretty nice passes in that Steelers game. Even the next week against the Lions, Cam didn't look all that bad. We can talk about that 2-point conversion at the end of the game, but that Bucks game, and especially that Saints game, the first Saints game, we all knew Cam's arm was cooked. I think it was a good 2 or 3 games before we actually pulled this man, where it was obvious to just people watching the games that Cam was hurt, that Cam's shoulder was not good. So we know at practice, we know from the training staff, we know they have inside information. They're talking to him. They see this man's shoulder. They understand what goes on. You get shoulder surgery. You don't just come back and you're good to go from your rotator cuff. You know how these things work. You have doctors consulting you every single day. And they still had this man out there throwing the ball consistently without an O-line. And it became very obvious to me that although before the season started, we had a very good O-line on paper, this may not be the best O-line in practice. I saw some very glaring holes coming from the left side of the line, Darrell Williams, and it's kind of hard to put a right tackle at left tackle. It's a whole different thing. These guys can't just plug and play. You need a left tackle at left tackle. If the team's really serious about Cam's long-term health and we're not just trying to squeeze whatever we can get out of him for this season and save someone's job in the coaching staff, we have to let this man rest. If Cam wants to play football long-term, I really think he has to go the way of Andrew Luck. Now, the Colts were, it's only one way to put it, they were horrible in the way they decided to protect Andrew Luck early on to, I guess, about the last year of his career, just this past year. And the difference between Andrew Luck's numbers in 2016 and 2018 are pretty big. He had a 4% jump in his completion rate. He got 300 more yards. He had 8 more touchdowns, but 2 more interceptions, which I'll take that ratio any day. That's cool with me. But the biggest stat for me that I see here is in 2016, Andrew Luck took 41 sacks. 2018, he took 18. That's more than a 50% reduction in sacks. They took his health seriously, got him out the game, put an O-line in there for him. Now, 2017, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I think it was like 56 sacks on their quarterback that year. I think it was Jacoby Brissett. But in 2018, the O-line came together for real, and we saw Andrew Luck maybe struggle a little bit the first 2 or 3 games, but after that, he really blew up. I think we can see a lot better stats from Cam if he gets a full year to rest that shoulder that's had surgery on it twice in 3 years. We're making this man pass the ball 50 times. 88 times in 2 days is ridiculous. It's obvious to me that not only is clock management a very, very hard thing for our coaching staff, but it's also managing how much time and how many plays these guys are in the game for, because we're keeping Christian McCaffrey in there. It doesn't matter. We're giving this man 20 plus touches a game, maybe around 30 a game, and that sounds good now. He's young. He can take these hits, but we know how the running back position is in the NFL. But the point about Cam is, I don't trust our coaching staff to protect Cam. And from what I saw against the Bucks, Cam does not have very consistent protection, especially on his blind side, and that is a problem. If there's no time to throw the ball, it's going to be a bunch of checkdowns on Christian McCaffrey, and every team is now going to just dial in on Christian. Stop C-Mac, you stop the Panthers offense. The whole offense is Christian McCaffrey or praying Cam gets enough time to throw the ball to someone else and praying that he can be accurate enough with his shoulder being messed up to make those passes, which he has not proven yet. Maybe he's made a couple passes, a couple of deep passes actually, that looked all right, but they're not consistent. his shoulder's not good or his head's not good, a year off would help him rehab both of those. Let him get his mental state right. Let him get his body right. A full year. Maybe consider becoming pescatarian. Maybe that vegan stuff ain't, I don't know. I ain't really tried the vegan stuff. I can't tell you. But maybe eat a little fish now and then. Maybe get a nut. Hey, look, Cam, you do what you gotta do, bro. Take a year off, please. Coach Rivera will not do this. This has to come from David Tepper. And I have heard word from a very reliable source that David Tepper has seen my videos before. Hopefully he can see this one and he's being advised by the right people who care about Cam's health. Now, if Cam isn't the future, then don't do it. See what you can get out of him this year and just go on with your business. But if you want Cam to be a franchise quarterback, maybe next year, you gotta sit him. That's how I feel about it, man. What are your thoughts on this? Should we just cut bait with Cam? Should we try to squeeze what we can out of him this year? Should we sit him down for this year and find out what we can get from him next year? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know what to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.